Hello, I'm Ed Breeding, and I'd like to give you a brief insight as to why I chose to do this film you're about to see, which features a phenomenal and compelling group of focused and dedicated creative artisans here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. My primary objective with this film is to encourage you, the audience, to begin looking beyond the surface of a great artist's finished work and attempt to get a deeper appreciation and understanding of what is at the heart soul of those that create the fantastic art that we all enjoy. To use a very simple analogy, we all can see and appreciate the beauty of a sleek new car. But this film endeavors to let you see the engine beneath the hood that makes that car run. I have dedicated my adult life to making what I believe is important and informative documentary films, such as this one. And over the past 15 years or so, I have averaged at least doing one film a year. And they include Echoes from the Ancestors, Reign of the Jaguar, Love Heals Homophobia, Holders of Wisdom, The Human Effect, and most recently, the war veterans film, Shattered Reality. Most of my films have been shown locally here on our KRWG PBS television station, as well as other television stations and film festivals across the country. All the great artisans featured in the film you're about to see have done and are doing what I have done, and after you listen to them and see more of their compelling work, it is my great desire that you, the audience, will want to look deeper into the heart, soul of what it takes to create such masterful works as these exemplified here.
Las Cruces is my hometown, and it always will be. And it's frustrating to hear people kind of lament on how much they don't like Las Cruces. It's too hot here. There's not enough things to do here. It's just a quiet little town. And I actually have to say the opposite, because Las Cruces is such a magical, incredible place where you can come and be yourself and do your art and never feel judged by anybody, because there's a constant audience for everyone. It's very different from places like Los Angeles, like the big musical hubs. But I'm in a very transitional, transformative phase in my life right now, because I have to decide what to do afterwards. And I was thinking about moving to LA, and when Ed brought this idea to the table, when he said that Las Cruces has so much to offer, and the fact that it's 100% different from anywhere else, in the fact that there are no preconceived ideas or opposed roles that you have to do. You can simply be yourself as an artist and let all of the magic kind of flow from you and fall into your lap. And that's why Las Cruces is so unique and different. There's no judgment here. It's a complete judgment-free zone. And I find myself being able to just be exactly who I am here. And there's such a fast-growing musical and arts population here. It's insane. It's incredible. But I've gotten more opportunities here than anywhere else that I've been in, anywhere else that I've traveled, even just within the past few months. So we're growing, we're expanding. Don't give up on us just yet, because we Las Cruces artists have so much to offer you.
I was born in Illinois to a school teacher father and a stay-at-home mom, the youngest of 4 brothers. And lately I've thought a lot about this sculpture that stands on a bluff overlooking the Rock River by Laredo Taft. It's a 90-foot tall concrete sculpture called Black Hawk. And lately I've been thinking that just growing up in a town, or being born in a town where something like that exists, must have instilled in me some sense of what's possible with art. I think that's a lot of what's behind creating things like Magellan the Dragon for the Renaissance Fair, or my Adobe Henge project, or the Billy the Kid building, imagining this 90-foot tall Billy the Kid attached to a restaurant downtown, or why I've been building an airplane thinking something like that is possible. So I think those things influence you. I think the place you grew up in, and having 4 older brothers that introduced me to photography and music and writing and theater, I think it really gave me a sense of possibilities. So as I discovered these talents that I was born with, and eventually decided to train them at school and through work, I think those things have an enormous influence on helping an artist feel like they can be an artist. When I think about what drives me and what's driven me to become an artist, I think it starts with being born with talents. And talents are they're a gift. They're a promise. They're a potential. And I think I've been driven by these talents to try to discover what they are and how far they go. Well, in a lot of ways, art is mysterious to people. But my understanding, I've come to believe that creative ability is it's a natural human function. But artists just happen to have a few extra wires, a few extra connections. It's problem solving. Creating art is problem solving. But it's also inspiration. It's also training. I mean, you're born with talent, but it takes time and training and attention and effort to turn that talent into ability. And as a child, I felt burdened by all these talents. I was overpraised for things I hadn't earned. And I think I've tried to compensate for that or try to make myself worthy of the attention. And so, once you turn a talent into ability, it's no longer a burden. It's weightless. So all these talents that I've turned into abilities over the years, they're weightless, and yet they're ever at my disposal. And I've really constructed my life in a way to serve the creative impulse in me. I've made a deal with my muse that I will never turn away an idea. I will not say no, because I've found what that feels like in my life when I say no, when I want it to stop. And so I've built a life to serve that. Some of it is probably therapy, because I had to understand myself, I had to understand my world. And also, I obviously have this need to express. I have this need to say things, to express things. And so I've been driven over these almost 40 years, professional life as an artist, to set up a life where whatever inspiration, whatever comes to me that I need to say, sometimes it's just personal, sometimes it's of the moment, it's what's happening in society, but I have the ability to comment. I have the ability to take my inspirations, my ideas, and give them form and give them a comprehensive or comprehensible form. It's a wonderful thing to be able to take an idea and create something visual that someone else can understand. It's a real privilege to be able to do that. I also see it as a responsibility. Artists are of their time, and I am of my time. I and my time will pass, and others will take over. But that's how it works.
As a child, I was abandoned in a boxcar. My mother was 17. She was unwed at the time, and birth certificate listed father unknown. I was adopted at 3, and after 3, I was bounced from one foster home to another and another. I ended up a few times, homeless, and through those experiences, I had the opportunity to, begin drawing, and eventually I started oil painting at 15. Doing the artwork, I found that there was a lot of energy there, and it was my escape from reality of the things that were going on around me. The more I done it, the better I wanted to become. I wanted my pictures to be realistic. Eventually, I became a little better and better, and I found out that there is a lot of spirit in the work that we do. Was once told that the eyes are the mirror of the soul, and I've kind of thought a little bit further than that. Artwork is actually the reflections that are seen by the people that pick up the images of the soul in the artwork. In this painting, her eyes are telling her story. This painting here is 17 years later. After she has a family, she has achieved some of the hope that she had as a child. She is still living in Afghanistan in a village that was bombed out. Her story is somewhat similar to mine. A child sitting on her grandmother's knee, and her grandmother is telling her the stories of life and of the spirit. of life. This is a painting from the San Carlos Apache Reservation, and it's of the Black River. It is a landscape that I went and painted because it shows Mother Nature, Mother Earth. On the Apache Reservation, you have a chance to really understand what life is about. I wanted to make a picture of this so that we'd have something left to realize what we are going to miss. The only thing that we can do as individuals is try to become at peace with Mother Earth and to take note of the beauty that is around us. It is magnified by the artist in every piece of work that they do, regardless of what medium they use.
One of my favorite quotes is, "To be an actor, you have to be a student of the world." And I think what I love so much about theater is that it's this opportunity to take everything that I encounter and somehow process it into something that is artistic. It allows me to filter the world in this beautiful, intriguing way and try to understand other people's experiences, to explore empathy for myself and to help encourage it in others. So I've been working in the theater since, I guess I really started meaningfully doing it in high school. But when I came to college, I was studying musical theater, and I love singing. There's nothing greater for me than singing a wonderful song. But the best version of singing a song for me turns out to be within the context of a story. So in a musical, I get that opportunity to take a character and bring to life their experiences through song, and to connect with people in a way that sometimes, for me, music doesn't always allow as intimately as theater does. What I've recently come to realize is that maybe my greatest ability, my unique ability, is to look at other people and find the piece of work that is appropriate for them in the world of theater, not only in terms of casting the right person and matching them to the right song or role, but more importantly, just seeing that there is a way for anyone that wants to explore and appreciate and participate in the world of theater to whatever extent they want to. So my favorite thing is that I get to teach Theater 101, which is like a general education class for students who aren't necessarily interested in theater when they walk into the room. But hopefully by the end of that semester, they have some understanding of how this great art form has evolved over time and changes as our society changes, but allows us to connect with each other regardless of our individual skill sets, regardless of our strengths and weaknesses, allows us to profoundly connect with each other. I love the Oscar Wilde quote, "I regard the theater as the greatest of all art forms, the most immediate way a human being can share with another the sense of what it is to be a human being." And I think the more we, as constantly technologically connected people, the more we decide in the theater that we're going to enter a room and participate together in a moment and share that, the more sacred it becomes, us separating from our electronic devices, putting aside those busy moments of our day and connecting with each other through a story, the simplest thing that there is in the timeless aspect of theater that I so love and appreciate. Well, my husband and I just got back from Broadway. We saw 15 different shows on our last trip in over about a week and a half to New York. So I love seeing what is out there and how that potentially could come back to Las Cruces. Of course, when we go see big, gigantic Broadway musicals, a lot of the stuff that they're doing, it just wouldn't translate well with our resources and the people that we have available in Las Cruces. So my theater company that I founded with a friend named Justin Lucero in 2014, Scaffolding Theater Company, our second production was in the June of 2015, we did a reinvention of the musical Chicago. How can you make it something that we could do in Las Cruces with the talent pool that we have and bring us back to looking at the themes of the work and really engage people with the story in a different way? So in this particular production, we ended up with a cast of women, and we framed the story as though it were taking place in a women's prison, and that the prisoners were the ones telling the story of Chicago. So this production actually got considerable attention nationally by Playbill.com, the Broadway website, talking about how you can reconceive work, not change the text, not do anything inappropriate to it, but just take it a different direction. We actually got permission from the publisher and the creators of the piece to approach it a different way. It's interesting, since that production in 2015, there's been a couple all-female famous productions happen. One from Japan came to New York City, and I thought we did it first, so that was kind of exciting. Before the first play I ever saw, I was like a 5-year-old, my mom saying, "We're gonna go see a play, and this is how you need to behave. It's really important. Plays are really interesting because people spend all this time and energy working and rehearsing to make something happen." I remember that. I remember after the play happened, my mom and I had a conversation, and I remember her asking, "What was your favorite part? Didn't you love the way that this person was costumed, and wasn't it cool, this part of the set?" Interestingly, I don't remember anything about the play itself. I just remember the experience of connecting with her through the theater. And I think that's ultimately indicative of why I love theater so much. It offers the opportunity for a conversation. Because there are people live in the room with you telling a story, it really compels you to feel their humanity in a way that I feel like sometimes even film can't do, because there's a separation between you and the person themselves. So these are some pictures of, I mean, you know, I acted a little bit as a kid, but ultimately in adulthood, that's one of my greatest passions, is getting up on stage and creating characters. And not so much because of what happens in that moment as what it inspires afterward, what might open your mind to someone else's experience that you wouldn't have considered had you not attended that play. The work of a theater artist may happen in the room, but the work of the audience happens outside of it. The opportunity to reflect on what happened in the theater and to connect with each other about and through that art, I think ultimately is what's really awesome about plays. What I would love is for everyone to recognize that there's a place for them in the theater, not only in the theater as an audience member to see plays, but in the theater for your stories to be told. I think there's been a lot of movement towards that recognition in the last couple of years, especially with Hamilton and things, saying like, whose story, who lives, who dies, who tells your story, like what stories do we want to see? So I would just think my ultimate hope is that everyone know that there's a place for them in theater, that maybe they think plays aren't for them. If that's you, find anyone who likes plays and ask them what play you might like, because I guarantee there's one for everybody. Not liking plays is like not liking music. There's something for everyone, and it's a great opportunity to connect with each other and to find new understanding of one another's experiences.
How long I have existed, no one could ever say. I was sure when the stars were cold, before the world was made. I've walked the path of paupers, kept company with the kings. I've climbed from prison's pits of hell, and soared on angels' wings. I have seen the rise and fall of every civilization. I dwell among the people of every color, creed, and nation. I travel with the angels to announce the holy birth, went hand in hand with the King of Kings as he walked upon the earth. I've walked o'er bloody battlefields with strutting heroes brave, and held the hands of cowards who fear a lonely grave. I've been with the merry victors celebrating through the night, Yet I stayed and offered comfort to the ones who lost the fight. I travel with the astronauts who returned successfully. I traveled with the ones who failed into eternity. You'll find me with the Mustang running free and wild. Don't be surprised if I appear in the laughter of a child. I help young lovers celebrate when happiness abounds. When love goes wrong, I help them face a world turned upside down. The red man found me often walking by his side. I blessed his soul when all was lost and kissed the tears he cried. I was always in the black man's heart when the nights were dark and long, helped ease the chains of slavery when it seemed all hope was gone. Tell the children all about me, make certain they all know I am far more precious than the world and all its gold. In sunshine or in shadow, in joy or in despair, if ever they would need me, they'll find me waiting there. But destruction will be sure to come if you ever should abuse me. So people of this earth, I pray, don't let the world misuse me. I am music. I am from God.
Throughout my life, I've always had an interest in image making and photography, and that is my chosen medium, my sharpest medium. I've had over 60 shows, nationally and internationally, and as far as I know, I'm going to keep on producing for the rest of my life. That's my journey, that's who I am. What drives me, what drives my work? It's something for me that is unexplainable. It's higher, it's who I am, it's what I came into this journey to do. And sometimes can be painful, and sometimes, stressful and a lot of work. I gotta be honest with you, I don't know if anybody would choose to be an artist, but it's what we're here for. We're visual storytellers. I don't have a choice in the matter. My drive is something higher. When I receive ideas, I receive them. I feel like I call them offerings. I call them scripts. So this would be explained. When I say script, I mean idea. My process isn't necessarily to look internal in the sense of a single self, but I see self as everything. Self is Ed, self is the ideas around me, self is the people, the things that I take in, the universal unconsciousness. That's how I receive ideas. And when I figured this out, I started getting ideas at a constant rate. That's why I call them scripts. It's like there's scripts dropped on top of you, one after the other, and you kind of weed through them, and there are offerings, and you say, hey, I think I can share this one, to the best of my ability, and connect and share the experience with people, and those are the ones I take. Generally, I feel pretty uncomfortable with the ones I take, and I know that is a sign that I should do them. When everything feels good from the start, usually that's not a good go for me. When I feel uncomfortable or feel like I'm pushing, those are the series and the images I need to make, and those are the ones that seem to connect with people on a higher level. I believe my next series will probably be something more in tune with nature again. I'm going at a crossroads in my life, and I'm moving forward, and nature is calling me. By nature, I mean the earth, the sky, and the natural world.
I've been writing music for more than 40 years and stories for over 50. And sometimes I wonder myself, why do I spend so many hours agonizing over every single word and note? It's because God has something to say to me. And it's not just to me, but it's to every person who reads or listens to my work. And it's important. I'm not saying that I'm receiving divine revelations. Every song and every story is a gift. The Bible says, all good and perfect gifts come down from above, from the Father of the heavenly lights, who doesn't change like shifting shadows. So stories and songs are good too, aren't they? Well, okay, maybe not all of them. Yeah, I've written a few clunkers in my day. But even clunkers serve a good purpose. They hone our skills, and they maybe even heighten our creativity. And really, creativity is, I think, just another gift of being able to tap into God's creativity. And really, which one of us ever praises the writer's pen anyway? So we all have different talents and in different amounts. And sometimes they intertwine. I'm a songwriter and I need singers. You never know who will come into your life. It could be a singer, a supporter. You don't even know when your own steps might change course. So you can never give up. Because once you quit, it's over. And that spirit could fly away, never to return. Frankly, the word spirit, it's too mild, too meek, it's too gentle. It's more like a poltergeist that's raging in my attic, and it isn't going to be quieted until the proper notes and words finally overpower it and exercise it. And I have no control over it either. Songs and stories that just pop into my head out of thin air. Sometimes I gotta get the music for a complete song in 5 minutes. And my entire Quest of Shadow and book series, that was revealed to me like it is to the reader. How can I take credit for something like that? I can't. It makes me realize that I'm God's tool. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're trying to pass on the beginning of wisdom, give joy, hope, and encouragement through the spirit of art. And really, I just consider myself the bridge that takes the reader or the listener, takes that person to the sender's house. And once they're at the sender's house, then it's between him and them. And art, really, it takes hours and hours, years of determination. But we have the spirit to convey, don't we?
Being a first-generation American is interesting because you kind of get to decide for yourself, and your path and your journey kind of just unfurls before you. And I suppose that you can say that for every single artist out there, but I believe that every single artist's experience is completely different. My parents are not from the US. My mother was born in Königstein, a small town called Königstein in Germany, and my father was born in a little village in Mozambique, Africa. And their cultures are both very rich and diverse. And so it's interesting that here I am, when from two polar opposite ends of the world, my parents came together, and about 21 years ago, in May, I was born. And so I was born here. I've always had, nature around me, mountains surrounding me, and that is very, I try to integrate that into who I am as a being and who I am as an artist. And I feel like both of those are very, very important. And the spirit of art is in everything. That's what I believe. It's this ever-present being. Everybody has their different version of a god or a goddess or what they believe in. I believe in the spirit of art, and I believe in that is in everything, and that's how it influences me. Artists are constantly influenced by their environment, and as such, I'm influenced by the spirit of art that lives within everything. Art development process is so interesting because it's so unique per individual artist. The way that I realize my art coming through me is during incredible emotional upheavals. I notice that I have a lot more creative energy and creative drive when I'm going through something personal that's really difficult, or I notice the world and I feel the world's energy, especially lately with our current administration and the different things going on all over the globe. They channel through artists in a way that is almost inexplainable. It's like that is the reason that artists are so important, is because we can express our emotions, and we use emotions as a language. That's how we communicate with the world, our environment, with one another. And so emotional upheavals for me kind of allow me to write down whatever's going on in my life and put them down on paper so that they're no longer mine. They don't belong to me anymore. It's no longer just my experience going on in my head. It's something that I can share with people. And it's incredible how much the spirit of art, once I channel it through me efficiently and I share it with people, how much it influences myself and my surroundings. I have people, because I released 2 albums in the past couple of years, and people will still message me from that first album and say, you have no idea how much this song helped me. I was going through, this and this and this, and listening to your voice and just hearing your words put me at ease, and I can't explain to you how much that meant to me. And that is why I do what I do, just to reach people and touch people and take all of worldly emotions and emotions inside of myself and make them more accessible to a wide amount of different people. Which mainly I think that's why all artists do what we do, is to share not only a piece of ourselves but of everybody else. So my name, Tawanda, means we are more in the language Shona. And Shona are a Bantu people that are indigenous. They're all over Africa. And that is where my father is from. In Mozambique, they speak Shona. That's one of the number 1 languages there that they speak. And my name, we are more, just recently it struck me that that is my purpose. We are more means unity. It means that we as a people together are greater when we're together.
When I consider art and art in my life, the beauty, the passion, the creativity that has developed in me to produce art. So one of the greatest lessons I had in overcoming some of the fears in my life, some of the apprehensions, was a knock at the door. A friend of mine coming to invite me to the gym. I said, okay, I'll go. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I found myself in a boxing gym, and I submitted myself to the coach. I put my trust in the coach and started to develop a talent for boxing, But I realized that, this boxing required dedication, required commitment, required hitting that pavement, So all these were part of the facets that molded the final or the present me, if I can say that. I took some great victories, and it was those victories that taught me, that dedication, commitment can have a beautiful outcome. So this facet in life, built confidence in me, when I knew that growing up I carried a low self-esteem, got bullied a lot, but by the grace of God, I became different, more courageous, and I think some of that courage developed a little bit of reckless behavior in my life. Now this reckless behavior, if I could call it that, led to a time of reckoning, and this happened in 2005. 12 years ago when I was arrested. Ended up having to carry on a sentence, but it was really during this time that an amazing transformation took place. The inspiration, the drive to create, just surrounded by a lot of creativity. It was during this time of hardship that I truly believe that my heart was put in to this work, and you can just you can see this energy in this work, and it's just such an amazing time of transformation and discovery. Just to have this revelation come that lay hidden for so long. I'm so proud to announce that the work has continued. I have several pieces that have been produced since, and one of my newest is a tribute to my lovely city of Las Cruces, our luxurious Oregon mountains, and it gives special observance to my own American Indian heritage. And so that really is such a blessing to know that art makes a difference. People respond to it, and it's a great gateway to reaching and changing the heart and soul of mankind.
I learned early on that the phrase, art is a very selfish mistress, meaning what? Meaning that she wants you 24 hours a day. She wants your undevoted attention, and she doesn't care about your other side jobs, children, family, chores. She wants you as much as she can get you. And when you give your time to the selfish mistress, metaphor, she gives you good results. And that's what I have found. If I devote time to the painting, to the filmmaking, focus on it, I get good results in a short time very often. My background in art began in Europe. I was with the United States Air Force for 4 years active, 2 years active reserve. And after that I did a short stint with the CIA in Washington, and then got into management, and after 17 years of that, and doing painting on the side as therapy, because when you're dealing with 400 and 500 people on a daily basis and their problems, instead of trying to solve all of their problems, you want somebody to solve some of yours. And I learned that painting after work in my free time was a wonderful therapy. That led into film. About 15 years ago I discovered film and started doing film, but I incorporated film, or I should say yes, I incorporated into the film what I had learned from painting, design, especially composition, lighting, become aware of the lighting, and applied that to film. So now, present day, spring and summer typically is when I do most of my film work. I do a lot of B-roll footage, and if you're in the American West, I love southwestern Colorado, northern New Mexico for background film footage. So I get a lot of that there. Most of my films do have nature in them. That is my preference. If I could film just one thing, it would be in nature all the time. But anyway, so I film now mostly spring and summer, and then in the fall and winter I do mostly painting, but I sometimes mix the two in the seasons. I love diversity in film as well as in painting, and as you see in some of my artwork here, I love to do wildlife, I love to do landscape, I love to do portraiture, different subject matter. Whatever I see, whatever I experience in life, and it really pulls me in and holds my attention, then I like to recreate that in a painting, and also very often into film. I will add that along with that, I am a writer. I've written 13 manuscripts. I've been published 7 times in USA Today newspaper, and I think all of us artists, I think we don't just do one genre of art. Very often we like to do different things in art.
I started, my first film I made was in 1990. I was an undergraduate at New Mexico State University studying to be an actor, and my then professor and mentor at the time, Mark Medoff, suggested that I should become a film director. I had no idea what that meant, so I asked him, and he said, well, go make a film. So I did. I made a short film called Scrambled Love, shot it at Dick's Cafe off Valley, and lo and behold, I had no idea what I was doing, but the film ended up winning an award at the A&E Network Best Short Film. It got me into graduate school at the American Film Institute, and I was on my way to become a filmmaker. So I graduated from AFI in 1993, sold a few screenplays, and then made my first big feature film called Homage, starring Blythe Danner and Frank Whaley and Bruce Davison and Cheryl Lee. It was part of the official competition at the Sundance Film Festival. Then after Homage, Gary Marshall, of course the producer and writer of Princess Diaries and Pretty Woman, Gary saw Homage and asked if I would direct a movie that he was going to produce called The Twilight of the Golds. So I directed that film for Showtime, and it starred Brendan Fraser, Gary Marshall produced it and starred in it, Faye Dunaway, Jennifer Beals, Jack Klugman, Rosie O'Donnell, and also the director John Schlesinger. That film also was at the Sundance Film Festival, won several awards at festivals throughout the country, and then took some time off of directing and came back to it in 2010. Just recently directed a feature film called The Heart Outright, shot all in Las Cruces, primarily in Mesilla. And that film played at many festivals throughout the country and recently sold and got a distribution deal. Made a short film called Princess that was a semi-finalist for the Live Action Short Academy Award. And now I'm getting ready in pre-production for a short film called Tarrant County Jail that'll be shot here in Las Cruces, and also in pre-production on a feature film called Walking with Herb that'll be shot in June of 2018. I started my career as a filmmaker right here in Las Cruces when I was a student undergrad at New Mexico State University studying to be an actor. Then I fell in love with filmmaking. I went away from Las Cruces for several years, lived in Los Angeles and then Chicago, and then came back. And really, I find Las Cruces to be my muse. I find the community to be incredibly supportive to the arts. I was very fortunate to have a mentor who's now my partner, Mark Medoff, and Mark has been incredibly supported by the arts, and I've now become incredibly supported by the arts as an educator, as someone that runs a large art event in the Las Cruces International Film Festival. I just find that the community, compared to other communities I've lived in, is much more supportive, willing to give you whatever you need to make your project the best it can possibly be. And I find that just living here inspires me creatively. I come up with all sorts of ideas and stories, and there's of course so many talented people to work with here in town. So I've never had a shortage of talent, whether it be in front of the camera or behind the camera, to help make my projects come to life. So I'm proud to be a filmmaker here in Las Cruces. I'm proud to support other artists with the film festival, and I just think there is so much to offer here in Las Cruces as far as the arts. The community is so warm and supportive and really embraces all of us in the arts, and I'm extremely grateful and, like I said, inspired to be making movies here in Las Cruces.
Those of us who have lived here in the Las Cruces area for many years, we understand that there's a quality of light, there's a quality of spirit, there's a quality of friendliness and generosity that attracts us and brings us back to this area. When I first came here 30 years ago, my first impression was of it's such a small town and we're so far behind. And after about 5 years, and it took me about 5 years, but I fell in love with that friendly, beautiful essence that is Las Cruces. And I think that's what draws people here and keeps them here. As the director of the Doña Ana Arts Council, our job is to help foster the collaboration and the success of arts education and those artists that are choosing to live and work here. What I see is that this is a real working artist community. These people can afford to live here, they can afford to create here, not only because of cost of living, but also because their creativity is fostered, and there's less of a competitive, more of a collaborative environment. And as much as we can do at the Arts Council to support that, that's what our mission is. The combination of having a wonderful university here, New Mexico State University, that brings us people from all over the world, and also the fact that we have many retirees who come here and bring a wealth of knowledge, and a lot of them start a second career as artists, and it's something that they can support each other in doing. And then what I see is from the university, and just because of this atmosphere, this group of emerging artists, young artists that are graduates of college, and they're trying to figure out how, if they can make a career in the arts. And that's, again, the quality of Las Cruces in this community that is supportive and is collaborative and is unique, I think, in this country. One thing that I've seen is that many people who could live anywhere are choosing Las Cruces. And sometimes they come and they leave and then they come back. Just recently that happened with somebody at the university, the director of the University Art Gallery. And she went back to New York, and then within 6 months, she's back here. And I think that that's indicative of the difference that we offer here. So what I've observed is people who could live anywhere, maybe they go away for a while, and then I see them come back. Because I think they do have that support and freedom of creativity here that they don't find elsewhere. So to me, it's our job to help them collaborate and form that community. And the fact that we're focusing on the emerging artists is something that is critical, because I think that's really our future, and developing that creative economy for our region as well. I think New Mexico, even though it's known for its arts, so to speak, we in Las Cruces need to really make sure that that part of our economy is championed as well. And so bringing people here to appreciate that art and appreciate the wonderful emerging artists, the wonderful retirees that are making a second career, the wonderful university that we have here. It's all part of the mix of a diverse group of not only creative forms, but of all the different art forms that are expressed in the dance, performing arts, visual arts, culinary arts. We have very, very unique ways of cooking and with the rich agriculture here. So there's something about Las Cruces that is special and that we celebrate. The generosity of our collaboration and the spirit that we have is something that attracts people here and keeps them here.
You made it clear I made a big mistake when I saw you run the opposite way. When just the other night I watched you sleep, and now you won't get close to me. And baby, I'm in love with how you feel, but you're not, 'cause you don't recognize real. And baby, I'm in love with how you feel, but you're not, 'cause you don't recognize real. And it's hard, it's just too hard, it's too hard, too hard, too hard. And baby, it's hard, it's just